Oh, my forehead's so shiny. Ugh. You know, lately it's been like 1,000 degrees at my house and my air conditioner is having trouble keeping up. But right now it's kind of getting cloudy outside and looks like there's a storm rolling in. And that reminds me of a story I think that applies to us as visually impaired people because it has to do with fear, and most importantly, fear of what could happen. What's up, VIPs? Welcome to my channel, and I wanted to talk about this idea of fear, and most importantly, fear of what could happen. Because you see, when you lose your sight, you realize that something like sight loss is possible. When I went through sight loss, I never once thought that I would be visually impaired. Like, I never once growing up thought, you know, one day I'm going to be visually impaired. Never crossed my mind. But then when it happened, I realized quickly sight loss, and probably lots of other things, were possible. By the way, if you're new to the channel, welcome aboard. My name is Derek, and I help people just like you to discover life after sight loss. Here you'll find product reviews, life advice, encouragement, how-tos, and so much more. So I'd love for you to consider subscribing to my channel and turning on notifications so that you don't miss another single video. Now, as I mentioned, this storm reminds me of a story, so let me tell it to you very quickly. You see, there was this person on a beach, and they were enjoying the beautiful weather and the sunshine and the waves and the sand, and it was wonderful. But then a storm rolled in, and it started downpouring on them. So they had to build a little shelter to protect them from the storm. So they built the shelter, they were protected during the storm, and everything was great. And then the storm rolled out, and they came back out and enjoyed the beach and the weather again. Well, eventually another storm rolled in, but this time, before it started raining, they went ahead and got in the shelter, and they thought, okay, that way I'm not going to get soaking wet, I'll avoid that, and that sounded pretty practical. Well, eventually, as storms rolled in, this person got into the shelter a lot quicker, and all of a sudden, they spent their entire life in the shelter because they were fearful of the potential storm that was coming their way. You see, it wasn't about the storm that was happening, it was about the storm that could happen, the storm that might happen, the possible storm. And you see, when you lose your sight, you realize that sight loss is possible, and probably every other such thing is possible. When I lost my sight, I then started to freak out about lots of things. Every little ache or pain that I had, everything that felt a little different in my body, I started to freak out. I can remember telling my wife early on that, you know what, I've got a little heart palpitation. I'm probably having a heart attack or whatever. Not because I really genuinely thought I had a heart attack, but because I knew heart attacks were now possible. And so I feared the storm that was coming. And so what happened was I started spending all my time in the shelter. And when you do that, you miss out on that proverbial beach, that sunshine and waves and awesome fun times. Sure, you might be avoiding all of the storms you could be facing, but you're also avoiding all of the great times you could be having as well. So if you're experiencing sight loss, I want to let you know that you might be experiencing fear as well. And we've talked about fear, of course, fear of getting out on your own, fear of not being able to do something, but you also might be experiencing the fear of the possible, the stuff that might happen. And that might cause you to run inside your shelter, whatever that might be. So I want to encourage you to always take precautions when you can, always be cautious and careful, that sort of thing. But don't live your life inside that shelter and avoid everything else, because you might just be avoiding the joy, the happiness, the excitement that your life will offer you in spite of you being visually impaired. So my question for you today is, have you experienced the fear of the possible, the fear of the storm that might be coming, and how did you handle it? Did you freak out? Did you live in the shelter? Did you face it head on? What did you do? I'd love to hear about it, and I'm sure others would as well. So let me know in the comments below. Hey, if you liked today's video, make sure to show your support by hitting that like button and sharing it out with somebody that you know. And if you like what we do around here, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so that you can get all my latest content, which I produce Mondays and Thursdays just for you. Thanks again for watching wherever you are, and until next time, remember that sight loss isn't the end, it's just the beginning. My name's Derek Daniel from LifeAfterSightLoss.com, and I'll see you in the next one.